annual report.
Okay. It is 7:02. I guess about by that clock here. We'll start the meeting. Review of agenda for additional removal or adjustment of any items per 1 VSA 312.
Yes, I do have one suggestion. Jill found a quote through USA Blue Book for a composite tester. And given that we are proposing to use water department capital funds to purchase it, it probably requires select board approval for that. Or water commission approval, or sewer commission approval.
So where do you want to put that?
Perhaps while Jill is.
6A, or do you want to put it under the 6?
Maybe following the department head roundtable, so that if there are any questions, she can answer those.
Okay, we'll call that B.
I thought it was already on there.
Why don't we put it under, because we're taking off number 5 or number 6.
Six.
Water, why don't we'll call it 6A, and we won't have an 6. What was it called, sewer?
The sewer composite tester.
Wasn't that already in our agenda?
No, I
Okay.
did mention it in the TA report.
Okay.
Is that it?
As an adjustment, I think so. And, yeah, and I mentioned that we're recommending that agenda item 6 be postponed.
Yep. Okay.
Which is the water billing issue. Water leak issue at the American Legion.
All right. Okay. Any more? Anything? Yeah.
No, that's
Right.
good.
Isn't that enough?
Yeah, overview of the Zoom meeting operations, procedures, rules for participation. Please, everyone, mute your microphone, recognized by the chair, etc. I'm filling in for Darla as the vice chair because she's on vacation. Good for you, Darla. Public forum, 5 minutes per person for an item that's not on the agenda. Anything?
I'd just like to introduce a visitor from Ohio that I just met. He's a town councilman, city council.
My name's Garland Gates. My wife and I are visiting this week here in Bristol because we plan to move here next May from the Buckeye State. I'm a city council member in Shelby. Shelby is a city of about 9,300 people, and I'm wrapping up my 24th year on city council. So I
Wow.
And so this is what you do for fun when you come up here?
Well, because I'm geeky and wonky about government, to some extent, I'm sure all of you are, so.
Welcome to Bristol, Vermont.
Thank you for
This-
coming.
If you want to watch the paint dry, it's not as exciting. Good luck. Okay, anybody else on the screen want a public forum? No, Jimmy, no. Regular business, reconsider the selectmen's motion to accept,
Department heads roundtable.
oh, sorry, I'm sorry. See, Bruce, you're up.
So the 3rd and 4th of July was successful. Nothing too much for us.
He's the chief of police.
Unless anybody's got any questions, I don't have much of an update.
Look like you got a little sun the last few days.
Yes, that too.
Yeah.
Bruce, any update on the water conditions, rainfall, any flooding or anything, any incidences?
In our area, no, there was some water coming over South 116 earlier, but that was because one of the culverts was plugged. They cleared that up and there's no water on the roadways, at least in the immediate area.
Yeah.
That's down in South Bristol area, down by the.
Yeah, South Bristol area.
Yeah, just south of Carlsbad, okay. And did I see that you helped out last Friday with an incident down Middlebury? I saw one of the cruisers there.
Yeah, we sent a police officer over there, yes.
Thank you for helping out. I know they've been up to help us out before. So
Yes.
it's good. Okay, I know Brett is working. Meredith, you're on? Meredith, are you there? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry. Yeah, so the Bristol Rec Department and the hub has been very busy. Today we had to cancel our camps because of the weather. The mountain bike camp, the fields were just saturated. So we decided to call that off. We'll resume tomorrow. It was a great start of 4th of July. You know, we had the 4th of July. We had our 5 town riders in that. That's now we are at 40 kids between grades 5 and 12. It's pretty cool to watch, and they did a great job during the parade. And we only had 2 falls off the ramp, a couple Band-Aids, and we were good to go. And then we did a Return of the Jedi movie in the park that was successful. We had a laser tag game happening over at Sycamore Park as well, and that was really well attended by ELP program. And then we had the Grift that was supposed to be in the park. We ended up having them in the Holly Hall. Whew, it's pretty hot in the Holly Hall, but the sound was good and people danced in the Holly Hall and out on the patio area, the front step area. And then the next fun thing that we're having is roller skating on the hockey rink on July 22nd. Besides also running mountain bike camps, swim program, play camp. Feel like I'm missing one, but I think that covers pretty much all the programs that we're doing for right now. So super busy. Community is being, receiving us well, and I feel like we're back on doing some amazing things for all the 5 towns. So that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Hold on. I do have something exciting. Taylor has been working with Dave Foster for the vehicle. And so we're definitely have put up a bid in for a vehicle. So more to come on that. There's some, admin things that we have to do. But we're really excited. It's 15 passenger van. So when you guys are ready to go on your little field trip around town, let us know.
Okay. Okay, Anthony, Treasurer's Office?
Hey, how are you guys doing? I don't know how it ended up moving. All right. Just working on the end of year stuff as well as the beginning of the year stuff. Just making sure our books are closed and everything's the most accurate it can possibly be. We've got some plans for restructuring the way we do certain procedures for the new year, so that's going to be pretty exciting. I've just been, reconciling and catching up with some of the longer term stuff. I know I've begun talking to Chris from National Bank of Middlebury about talking about a tax anticipation note. So if you guys have any questions about that later, I can answer any that you do. And that's pretty much what I've got going on.
Now, Anthony, we had taken out a tax anticipation note last year, but we didn't need to use it. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. We didn't need to draw anything down.
And if we don't draw anything down, we don't pay any interest and there's nothing to pay back.
Correct.
It's a buffer. It's like a safety net just in case.
Mm-hmm. It's just so to fortify cash flow throughout the entire year rather than portions of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is Sharon on there? Nope, I don't see her. Yeah.
Jill.
Or Jill for water? You want to give us, or you want to wait till we do? You're going to be more in the meeting later, so you can give us a brief.
I think the only thing that I wanted to say is, well, 2 things. First, I just want to thank the water connected users in Bristol for the very nice response to the lead service line inventory requests. We've been getting 5 or 10 a day, a mixture through text message, through email, through phone calls. Some people are saying, can you please come help me? And we're saying, absolutely. And then we're getting people that are dropping the paper forms off at the office too. So there's really, 4 different ways that people are responding, which is great. So we're really starting to build up that inventory, which is exciting. And we're really seeing a whole mixture of different materials all over the place, which also is exactly what we thought we'd find. And also, so far, water levels are looking fine at the pump house. I know there's concerns about the level of the river and impact to the water facility and the adjacent wastewater across the road, but so far, the river seems to be keeping in bounds. We'll pop over again a bit later after this meeting to just make sure things are still looking as they have been, which is at a reasonable level with no damage yet. Both sides, water and wastewater at the state, have reached out to say if there's any damage let them know immediately, both for facilities operational purposes and also for potential EPA grant funding if there were. But again, at this point, everything looks great. So
Okay. All right, anybody else on? I don't see anybody. Okay. Regular business. Reconsider the select board's motion to accept Munson's earth moving bid for the Pine Street Waterline project to remove the loan funding contingency and authorize execute of the contract.
So,
Yes. Hopefully folks had a chance to look at
Hold
the
on, is there a
notes.
second?
Was there a motion?
Yeah, he said
You
so.
said so
moved, yeah.
moved.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Michelle, do you second that?
Sure.
Okay, Michelle second. All right.
Wow. Okay,
So this is just because we
because,
won't have the loan information quick enough.
Right.
For them to start.
and because we feel a high level of confidence that we will get the loan, we don't feel that there's any risk of not getting the loan, it's just a matter of when. And as long as we can carry the costs of the project in the meantime, and we've looked that
was
out.
my question.
Yeah, that'll be my
Yeah.
Where's the money coming from
Well,
if
well, that-
if they don't come through?
Well, that would be the tax anticipation note, which we would have to pay back, but, we're
well, we
pretty
got a
confident.
vote to bond anyway, so we're
Right.
covered.
Right, yep,
But that isn't that what we're waiting on, is the funds?
the
from-
loan,
the
yeah,
loan, right.
yeah.
I know we're gonna vote, but if they say it keeps getting put off,
But if they said, no, you don't qualify this year, we'd still do the project. I guess that's the $1 million
Yeah.
question. And we would.
Yeah, I mean, if we want that project done this year, we need to move forward.
Right, we
And the-
can't wait till August or September.
Right, and the fact that we got such an attractive bid, especially in this bidding climate, is
Mhm.
really remarkable, and it would be very unfortunate if we had to forfeit that and do it again.
Okay. Just on a sidebar for that, I'll bring it up under select board concerns for that. So, okay, Ian, you got any questions on that? We have a motion and a second to execute the contract. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed?
Yay.
There it goes.
Thank
You
you.
used up, you got 12 minutes to your credit.
There, Steve,
Update.
Steve,
We'll
you're
use
done.
it.
Update, yeah, update on a Basin Street improvement project.
Yes,
I read that, your
I wanted
epistle.
to just add this on here to let folks know, obviously this relates to the next agenda item, but online and in my report, I gave a brief summary of where we are financially, if in fact the select board approves the proposal for the Du Bois and King engineering and design services. We've gotten 3 different grants for this project, totaling over $500,000. The total projected cost was estimated at $733,000. And given the proposed contract with Du Bois and King and our current contract with the municipal project manager, that would leave about $450,000 for the actual construction of the project. It's quite likely gonna take more than that, but this is also a multi-year project that'll give us the opportunity to visit our capital funding and how we're allocating funds to the capital funds, reserve funds. But also, I think we would have very competitive advantages for new grant funding.
because it's
Additional-
shovel ready.
Because, well, shovel ready, and because of the level of commitment that's already been demonstrated. And the funding agencies typically like to fund successful projects, and they want to see things through to make sure that they are successful. And also, there would be legitimate basis for providing additional funding.
Okay.
So
This is-
I feel the risk of accepting, the Du Bois and King proposed contract is very, and it's a not to exceed contract, so it could be less.
This is gonna tie the Main Street drainage into to deal with that problem we had.
Correct. Correct.
Could we get some, or have we gotten drainage fund money?
Yes, we
So
have, yeah,
it is-
it's all wrapped up into these 3 grant funds so far. And I think additional funding is likely available as we go forward.
Okay. Okay, any more questions?
Yeah, this is not,
This is just
doesn't
This one
require action, I
doesn't
just wanted to
The
give
next
folks
one
an
does.
update that that's where we are with the funding picture.
Okay.
And just to give folks hope that the project is moving forward.
Okay, number 3, consider acceptance of Du Bois and King's proposal for the Basin Street Improvement Project Design, Engineering, Bidding, and Construction Services. May include deliberation and executive session.
So online were the background documents that led to this proposal. We published a request for qualifications, which was a required process under these funding programs. And we received 5 responses. The review committee reviewed them and ranked them, and Du Bois and King was ranked the highest. And the way the system works, they are then invited to provide a cost proposal. And if for some reason, upon vetting and other things, if we decided that that was not acceptable, then we would have needed to reject it and go down to the next ranked consultant. But upon review of their proposal and going back and forth a little bit for clarification, myself and the municipal project manager and the V-Trans supervisor were all very comfortable with their proposal.
Okay, can I ask a question on the budget, the Basin Street budget figures? So you have, on the left-hand side, it says preliminary engineering, you've got a bunch of numbers, and then you have actual contract, and you have the D&K proposal.
Right.
That number, does that technically include all these broken down
Yeah.
line items?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking at this going, how can that be that much higher than what we estimate for that line item?
Right, yeah, that includes the bidding, the construction.
The right-of-way
management.
acquisition, construction.
Yeah, right, okay.
All right.
Okay. Any other questions, Ian? Question? No?
What's the do not exceed price?
The do not exceed price is $246,763.
Okay.
But that, as Michelle noted, that includes multiple layers of services.
Yep.
From the design and right-of-way issues and bidding and construction management.
But that's not the actual construction.
Right,
itself.
right, that's just supporting services.
Another $500,000.
Well, that's what I was gonna say, so what's the rest of it?
Get that help.
We haven't, so we don't have that number yet, right? The cost for the rest of it, the actual construction piece.
Construction, no, but as I laid out in the earlier item, that it would leave us about $450,000.
Mhm.
And of course, these are all estimates, you never
Right.
really know what
Yeah.
things are gonna
Right.
come in at.
And that construction, I assume, is gonna depend on what the design, the
Right.
ultimate design is.
Right.
Okay.
And then with the Du Bois and King proposal, it's understood that because there are so many variables, you can't really pin down how things are actually gonna go. So they use their best guesses, their best, based on experience with other similar projects, and their knowledge of the process through V-Trans of doing these kinds of projects through right-of-way and all the different steps, the public outreach, the local concerns meetings and other things like that. There are certain procedures that have to be followed every step of the way.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept Du Bois and King's proposal for the Basin Street Improvement Project.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
1 second.
Michelle seconds it. Any more questions? Hearing none, all those in favor accept Du Bois and King's proposal, please say aye.
All right.
Opposed? Nice have it.
Thank
Okay,
you.
number 4, consider a grant application authorizing request to apply to the Vermont Community Chargers Grant Program for a level 3 charging system.
Where do you want me?
Up front
Have
and
a chair,
center.
have a chair, Richard.
Right here.
Oh, this is good. Okay.
You gotta be seen on camera.
Well, it'll swing around and get him over there too.
So it'll find you.
No matter where, right?
Richard Butts is here from the Energy Committee to give us a briefing. He's a.
So I'm here to, as you said, on behalf of the Energy Committee, what we want to do is get permission to pursue 2 different grants. One is EV chargers. That is what this agenda item is about. As you know, we had submitted prior and not been funded, and now a lot of money is coming through, as you know, and there is some urgency to get a pre-proposal into the Vermont Community EV Chargers Grant Program. And this is a program that will provide even level 3 chargers, which are very expensive, 150,000 is sort of an average figure. The programs for us, for the town of Bristol, would also include a 5% match if we decided to go that route. Our original proposal was for level 2 chargers, and we had GMPN and Norwich EV come in and give us an estimate. I talked to Norwich this morning, and they're very willing to come back and work with us on some form of maybe a couple of level 2s and a level 3. There's a little bit of discussion about the need for level 3s. The committee feels that being able to have a tourist come in and bring their car up to 60–80% an hour could be a real incentive, because there aren't many of these things around. Closest one, as you know, is Middlebury. So for our downtown district, being able to have this kind of charging could be a very nice possibility. We're talking about locating at one of the poles across from the park on West Street.
Across from the park, you mean towards the post office, or talking?
For the
about-
post office,
Oh.
yeah.
I
And
thought we were talking about them on. park side.
Between the sidewalk and the curb on the park. I
Yeah.
thought that's where you.
Yeah.
Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Down towards
Oh,
the church?
well, I think that's open to, we'll see what
Mhm.
what develops, but.
I know, Ian,
think,
you and I had talked about this some time ago, best location, but.
So I looked back at when we last discussed this, and it was actually me in Richard's place presenting for the
Mhm.
Energy Committee, and that was in April of 2019. And that discussion, we talked about having them at the church, but it was decided by the board at the time to have the new position, which was in the center. There was a lot of movement and parking usage by the church. It was also the proximity to the pole as well. It required a lot of trenching to get from the center pole that's opposite the bandstand all the way down to the location near the church to use those parking spaces. So the board voted on having it just be at that pole location opposite the post office.
And how many parking spaces are we talking about taking up?
This will depend on how many ports we have, but 2 or 3.
Okay, so the level 2 is how many hours does it take a charger?
Well, level 2, you'd be able to top off a car in a couple of hours. If you came in at say 20%, you'd be able to get it up to 40–50% in a couple of hours. So somebody could spend the afternoon, downtown shopping and eating and so on.
Come on, we wanted to take as long as possible, so they spend a lot of money.
That's
That's right.
What's the price difference between a 2 and a 3, I guess that's what's.
Well, the 2
Oh.
are, there's a tremendous difference. The 2s that we got an estimate before were around $12,000. But the level 3 is 150. And the level 3 requires 3-phase power. So we checked with Green Mountain Power, and at the pole in front of kind of the convenience store, there is adequate 3-phase that can be brought across the street. And so that is possible.
So it's across the street, though, for some reason I thought 3-phase was already at the park there.
No,
Okay.
no, across the street.
It's across the street,
By
Plus
Champlain
this
Farms.
side.
Yeah,
over here.
On the side, yeah.
Right
That's
by
the
the
3,
hall.
and they can
Right out
bring
here
it
in front of the
across.
hall. Around the corner here,
Probably
no,
down.
there's no pole between them.
Comes through here, doesn't
Yeah, but like maybe behind the post office or something.
no, there's one right in front of, right near the convenience store.
Is it?
It might be down toward the post office.
There's one by the post office.
Yeah, that's
entrance.
it,
Yeah,
yeah,
there's a pole right out in front of the post office.
So-
Is that where it has 3-phase?
yeah.
But are you going to want just one charging station or like 2 level 2s across?
Well, my thought would be 2 level 2s and a level 3.
it? So the 3 parking spaces.
3
parking
parking
spots.
But
spaces.
there's not 3 at the post office. The post office is only going to handle one
No, they're not. They're
No.
gonna take the three-phase from that pole and bring it across the
Bring it
road
across.
to the park.
Okay.
And then they'll have the three
Oh,
spaces
okay.
by the, on the park.
So where are we at with structures on the park? Right? Ian, do you remember that conversation? Because
Yeah,
I
it was,
don't.
the board voted on it, and approved the energy committee to actually do the grant, which we didn't get. So it was voted on. I think the discussion was because the infrastructure was gonna be on the other side, it was gonna be in the green space area near the pole. It wasn't thought of as being on the park, even though it's directly opposite it. I think that was the main discussion. The only issue, I do support this, and obviously we've tried to do this for 4 years now, or 5 years, because we previously tried to apply as well to the previous grant. My only concern with this moving towards the level 3 is that it's quite a lot of infrastructure. It requires a fairly large concrete pad, and as far as I know, the chargers themselves are quite large and bulky. Compared to level 2, which because of the less power usage, they're a lot more slimline and nice looking. And because it's going to be directly in front on our green and directly in front of the bandstand, that would be my only hesitation, is for us to look at that closely to see what the design of level 3 charging stations looks like. Because I know in other locations, it's quite hefty. There's a lot that needs to be put in.
Are these Tesla stations or not?
No.
So future thinking here, if we do a level 2, which I'm kind of on board with right now, rather than level 3, what is the likelihood that we can upgrade those level 2s to a level 3 at some point where maybe they're so big and bulky and require it? I mean, is that possible, or are you like talking we have to redo them all?
No,
Totally?
no, I mean, the level 2s would be freestanding, and the level 3 would be as well. So you just decide if you wanted to go that direction, you would
We
do
could
it.
always change it.
There's one other thing that I've learned. My son-in-law is a manager at Okemo, and they're installing chargers like crazy.
Right now
And
they're underwater.
Yeah, they sure are. As a matter of fact, my son-in-law and daughter are now with us because their house is underwater.
Oh, no.
Anyway, Barry tells me that at Okemo, there are some much faster level 2 chargers, higher amp ratings. And so I think what we're looking at here is a pre-application. So we submit this and we get permission to then apply and get all the grant information. They don't even ask on this. I did include my answers to the questions on the application form, and they don't even ask cost or final stuff on this one at all. That all comes,
They're just
as
trying
we
to figure
go.
out who's gonna apply and how much
Yeah.
money they need.
Yeah, not even how much money it is.
Are these, I know one of the sticking points that the board had a number of years ago, a few of us on the board, was the level 2s was gonna go into the grid and the town was gonna have to pay for that. Are these gonna be credit card use?
Yes.
No, yeah, these are all charged.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there any thought given, I mean, there's 2 or 3 spots, and I don't wanna give up a lot of Main Street, trust me. But I don't mind, I'd like to see what they're gonna look like before we go and spread them over onto the park. But is working with Palmelo and putting them in the green space between the sign, the Shaw's sign and cupboards entrance, into.
Well, we've got a handicap parking space and a
And
regular
you
parking
got
space.
2 regulars and I think 1 handicapped.
Yeah, one regular,
One of
and
each?
accessible.
One of each, okay.
Yeah, which isn't a great, and then you have that infrastructure there. The other thing too, the reason it works on the park is because in the green space, it's the closest area to the cars because you're bringing essentially a big wire that you're plugging into your car. The green space at Covers wouldn't work because you'd be driving across the sidewalk.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah.
And there's
Well, I
no
was thinking
space.
more where the brick is between the sidewalk and the curb,
Right.
but that not bricks there, is there? That's all,
No.
so.
No, it's the stamped concrete, and we only have, similar to the brick, it's only like 15 inches or whatever.
I
Yeah,
wonder
I
if,
Go on, Bill.
in front of Howden Hall, one of the spaces there,
Except the three-phase isn't there if we need three-phase. Yeah.
No, it is. Three phases there, because it runs on that side of the road. We did look at that before. There was concern about in front of the historic building having that kind of infrastructure. And also, I think it was the limited spacing too. It got redesigned a little bit when we redid the road. So
Right.
it's possible that we could look at that again, but again, it's one accessible space and two regular spaces. So you'd have to.
There's a handicap, handicap and 2 or 3 regular spaces
You
there.
think we hear it enough I hear it enough from people around town when we put the banners up on the Holly Hall, and they're saying, what are you spoiling that beautiful building, putting banners up? Then we put a charging station in front of it. We couldn't put a digital town hall sign in front of it years ago, right, Peter? So I'm not gonna put a sign, we're gonna put a digital or a charging station in front of it.
I think they have some, I think they have some that look like hitching posts.
So you're thinking, this would go on that green space between the curb and the sidewalk,
That's
so
right.
no line will go across the sidewalk.
No
Is
line
that-
across the sidewalk now.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'd
that
like
was
to
the
see us-
design we had. That was the design we had before. And I'd done mock-ups and stuff. And I guess, I'm happy to work with the Energy Committee if we get approval for this tonight, or if they do, then I'm happy to do mock-ups and work on that. I do like the idea of those faster level 2s, because that gets us almost the best of both worlds, where we can have something that's not too infrastructure heavy, sitting right on the park, but also allows cars to get some faster charging in.
Yeah.
And would allow us to, if we find that that's not the most ideal spot, to move it, once you
Right.
put the concrete pad down.
That's true.
kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
And those no doubt will cost a lot less. I mean, the grant will cover a great portion of it, and we have ARPA money that we could use for the match for either system, depending on what's chosen. But it's definitely, this is people keep sending me information about this project, and Rich is already working on it. But this is our best opportunity to get this here. We're still, if you look at the map of chargers, they keep popping up around, and we're still in this dead zone where Bristol really needs one, because everyone else around us almost already does. New Haven has one, Heinsberg has one, and we're the only ones who
Clarksville
don't
has
have
two.
actual chargers.
I mean, I'll make a motion to allow the Energy Committee to apply for the grant. I mean, my only condition, we're only applying for the money at this point, so
Right.
I would like to see what what they look like in, kind of a mock-up.
Yeah,
Because I
sure.
would like to get the faster, 2.
Yeah.
I'm a little hesitant on 3, just
I
because
mean-
of size and infrastructure.
Maybe level 3 looks better and requires less infrastructure than it used to.
Right.
And most charging stations that I see around towns are in areas that aren't right on the main thoroughfare. Some are, the ones in Middlebury are coming down. They're over by the Marble Works, sort of tucked away. The others are down past where Storm Cafe used to be. So they are kind of hidden. And if we're going to put something right there in the park, which I think is good, there are, using 2 spaces, looking at the minutes or the video from 2019, I talked about there are 40 spaces on the park along that West Street side. And so it would be reduced down to 38. So even if we use 3, that's 37 spaces that are still there. There was also discussion of whether for certain events that required a lot of parking, would we be allowed to cover the EV spaces to allow all cars to be there? Because one of the stipulations, at least for the grant last time, was that they had to be dedicated EV spaces. So I'm not sure, Richard, I don't know if you know. If
I haven't
that's
seen that. Yeah, I don't know.
And I guess we'll discover that as we go along, but we'll see.
Well, there's times we don't allow any parking there, i.e. the 4th of July parade.
Right,
We
exactly.
Coordinate it all off. so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
just
think this,
like farmer's market on Monday, every single parking spot around town is full.
Right.
So-
okay.
When
Like,
we park
so
the food trucks
Michelle made a,
we let them know. and-
Well, actually,
Okay.
aren't they behind the park now?
Any more discussion on it?
Behind the park, aren't they?
I'll second that motion if no one did.
Michelle made the motion to,
Mhm.
okay. Any more? Hearing none?
I just wanna put it
Okay,
out there
sorry,
that if the plan is to, if we get the funding, and if the plan is to earmark, ARPA funding to meet the match, because we don't have any other real, energy reserve fund kind of thing, then we should make not necessarily on tonight's agenda, but plan to officially earmark a certain amount of money of the ARPA and commit that.
Well, and that'll depend on what we buy for EV chargers.
Right,
have-
right.
We have in the list that I put together, we put in 15,000, which was about the cost of the level 2 chargers to buy the whole system. So it is in there in the ARPA funds. And it was obviously part of that top 20 list from the committee. So we knew that EV charging was going to be in the list of that.
So correct me, Michelle, your motion is to apply for the grant. And after we see a mock-up, we'll approve for the location.
Yeah, we could, location and the style, whether it's a 2 or 3.
We haven't given them any location yet, we're just
Right.
applying for the grant.
The grant,
That's
right.
it.
All right, I just want to make sure, and that's, you're cool with that, Ian?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's for 2 level 2s and possibly a level 3, so 3.
Up to
Up to the
three,
hun-
up to three
3
charging
chargers.
stations,
Okay.
up
Charging
$150,000.
Apply for $150,000 for up to 3 charging stations. I mean, just, am I correct in saying that if we found a better location, Mountain Health, Firehouse Drive, somewhere, the rec park, Mount Abe, somewhere we could put a level 3 that would kind of be out of sight but not out of mind. We could go, like the ones at the Marble Works you can drive to, they're not on our main street.
Yeah, well, I've often thought about
Is
the
that, am
high
I
school
wrong?
parking lot would be a great place.
Yeah, but that's approval from them. not-
That's approved from them,
Yeah.
but, okay, all right. All those in favor of this motion, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Okay, Richard, stay right at the
Let's try it
table.
again, right?
Stay right at the table. Consider a grant application authorization request to apply for the municipal energy resilience program for energy assessment of municipal buildings.
That's a mouthful.
Okay, I've got some more handouts for you.
Okay. How many trees did you cut down for this project?
Oh, it's terrible. I'll go plant some.
This is the one the group came through and did the,
This is what you met about a month ago.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, so
Can I
you
have
wanna
one
wait
more?
for Michelle?
you got one of each.
Yeah, well, we gave one to Mick, right?
Yeah, you got one of each.
Yeah.
He needs one of these too.
Yeah, you only one of those. You, that's yours. There, I down
I
there.
didn't want to overload it.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so the MERP program is the Municipal Energy Resiliency Program. And I have to tell you, when this first was conceptualized by the Climate Council, I got a call from Joanna Miller, who's on the Climate Council, asking me about what ought to go into the program. And I said one of the most important things was that it be targeted to small towns, because we have lots and lots of old buildings. And I offered to go up to our library in the middle of a snowstorm and take a picture of Coco in her winter coat in the library. And I sent it to Johanna, and she used it in testimony as they started to draft this program. So I've been connected to this for about 2 years and watching it very carefully. I'm really happy to see that it's come out. So essentially, this is a no-cost-to-us program. The towns have been allocated up to $500,000 to spend on such things as weatherization, switching out heating systems, anything that would tighten up and make a building more efficient. It's got to be a building owned by the town, and so that leaves out the rec center, for example. We've thought about that. And so in a number of meetings, we're proposing that we concentrate on Holly Hall and the Lawrence Memorial Library. We've had walkthroughs done, but under this program, which is administered by the Department of Buildings and General Services, they will provide the consultants who are going to come and go through our buildings and work with us on what's needed and the best way to do it. And so, for example, the Lawrence Memorial Library, could we put in a geothermal heating system? They would be qualified to advise us on that. Same thing with Holly Hall. The goal of the program is, even though the name doesn't suggest it, is really carbon reduction over the long haul. So what we would do is apply for this energy assessment, it's called, for each of the buildings. And they would come and do that, and then we would work with them on a plan that you would approve, hopefully, that would be submitted for the money. And again, it's at no cost to us. So it's kind of a no-brainer.
I've had a conversation with the deputy director of buildings and grounds, and he said, we had a very favorable visit when they did their tour, and that we should apply by all means.
Good. We've been working with Matty Shropshire at the planning commission and making a lot of noises, so
Is
they know
there,
we're ready.
is there a reason why, could you do 3 town buildings and while you're over the match, but then we can pick and choose? I wonder why Houghton Hall wasn't picked.
We looked at it and didn't feel it had the needs that Holly Hall and the library have.
Okay, because this building was quite renovated 12, 15 years ago. You know, gutted down here and.
Down here's done, upstairs isn't.
No,
think
I agree,
upstairs is
I
what
agree.
we're looking at,
Yeah.
heat and ankle.
Heat and
Well, we
cooling.
walked into the furnace room too, and the furnace was backing up, so there was a problem there.
Right, so,
Yeah,
I just didn't know if you could test all 3, and if 2 say, no, now you pick the 2 you wanna do, because 3 you're over your limit. But maybe 3 you're not over your limit, or you gotta have 100,000 thrown in, and you'll
Let me
do all
find out.
3.
yeah.
I know we
So all
talked,
we're looking
when I
for
first got
right-
on the board, hold up, bigger, we talked about curtains, insulated curtains upstairs, and then insulated curtains at the Howden Hall and things, and even though I know that building doesn't get used like this one, you still gotta keep it 70 or 60 odd degrees all winter long, and that's,
It also, we looked at the utility load on the buildings, and
okay.
those are the library and this one are the ones with
Oh,
that.
yeah, energy use, yeah, okay, good,
All we're looking for right now is permission to apply for the grant, right?
right.
Just for the assessment, it's not even the grant, it's right now just for the assessment,
So the assessment will cost us nothing,
nothing.
but the 500,000 they were talking about, that's how much they will give you towards doing the
Up to-
energy efficiencies, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if it's more than that, then you're on your own.
Right,
And is it 500,000
unless-
per building, or is it 500,000
per town,
total?
per town.
So
Wow, that's gonna-
Richard, to
that's
Joel's
gonna cover all of
point,
them.
with the assessment, can we add in all 3 buildings, even though I know you looked at that?
Yeah,
Are we able to get an assessment for that?
you can have as many
Many
buildings as
assessments
you
as you
want.
Okay.
want.
I think we absolutely should. I know that that's, as Joel said, it's lower use, but we may find things that we didn't know needed to be
Right.
done, or at least it gives us an idea of what we need to work on in the next 10 years or so. But I think that
And
would
they
be
may be
useful.
simple things that aren't gonna cost us 500,000.
Low hanging fruit that we could do.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, we know that, the issues with Holly Hall. At the library, for me, looking at this, because I've been involved and I went on the tour with the buildings and grounds folks. So it's good to hear that they had a positive interaction here, especially Coco. She was great. The library is the biggest thing. The Energy Committee has done reports and had gone through and really found out what it needs and what the problems that it has. And that's the one that really needs the work in so many different areas, not just for energy resilience.
Okay. Alrighty,
I'll make a motion to apply for the Municipal Energy Resilience Program grant.
Second.
motion and a second, pick who you want, Peter or Ian for the second. Any more discussion, Valerie, you got anything you want to add? Okay, all those in favor of authorizing to apply for the grant, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. 6 has been deleted.
Thank you, Richard.
Okay.
Thank you, Richard.
Okay, we'll get busy.
Thank you, and thank you, the energy.
Yeah, Richard's bringing in the money.
I'm happy to do it, but can you double my salary?
Okay, yeah, 0 to 0, okay,
Sure.
triple it, we'll triple it.
Triple it, wow.
Okay, 6A has been added, sewer
Composite tester.
composite tester.
So moved.
And I'm gonna let Jill fill us in how to word that. to apply for a grant, apply a
No, it's actually not, it's to
Not
the
a-
capital
Capital
funds.
funds.
a capital
it's
fund
sewer
out of
capital
this.
funds to purchase the.
Is Anthony on still? Yep. Jill, you there? Yep.
It's
And
not a grant. So basically, what we were talking about is starting to collect data on what the different users, what the different connected users are sending out of their buildings into the manholes. And in order to do that, we would need a battery powered composite sampler that would be weather safe. So I checked with Vermont Rural Water. They don't have one to loan us, etc. Asked where they would recommend buying one, to which they said USA Blue Book. Looked on USA Blue Book, and there's only just a couple options that would be weather safe, and that would be rechargeable. And this one appears to be the mid ground of what we could purchase to do this now and into the future, especially considering that we'll use the information now to see what our data points are to understand the range of inputs. And then we can actually write the ordinance that sets the organic limits for BOD, TSS, and FOG into the wastewater system, and what pretreatment is required, basically.
And then what would you use it for ongoing?
You would want to, because how else do you know that they're not discharging something above the level they're allowed?
That's what I'm asking. So you would be using it in the future to keep testing and making sure if the limits are within the limits?
Yeah, I mean, we have to do kind of sporadic, periodic testing. So first we have to do it to set a baseline and to gather data, because we don't really know what the inputs are. Everything gets blended. And then second, it would be to continue to use it periodically and sporadically to just double check to make sure that the pretreatments are actually working and that we understand what the inputs to the system are.
And this is approximately $2,300, right? That's the one
I
we're
think
looking at.
let me see.
Yeah,
2295.14 is what.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Okay,
that's with the shipping. Yep.
But what's the cost of, okay, you've got, what, we thinking around 9 or 10 grease places, let's call them, for better term?
Yeah.
What's
and
the
I wanna
cost of-
say,
What's the cost of the labor to set that up? You know, there's a cost there too, to analyze all this.
That'd be probably.
So I wasn't planning on charging the town for additional labor as far as we're concerned. This would be part of us continuing to operate the wastewater system, knowing that the inputs that are coming in are damaging the system. The cost that would be increased would be getting those tests analyzed at Endyne Laboratory, being that we're not Endyne Laboratory. So that would be, it's something like $25 for a BOD and $25 for your TOS and $25 for a FOG. So it'd be like $75 per location for that initial set of data testing. And again, there is probably like 9 of them. And then after that, it would just be periodic. Those where those initial results were showing really high and we have to do some type of requirement for pretreatment, we'd want to recheck and make sure that those new outputs that are coming to the system after the pretreatment gets added are truly actually lower and lower than what we would consider to set as the limits for the acceptable influent to this wastewater facility. And I'll call it a facility, but as you guys know, it's really just a simple wastewater treatment system.
You got a question, Peter? So,
So is that $75 just coming out of that we're paying, coming out of the budget?
Yeah, we increased the budget line item for that
Yeah.
in anticipation.
Yep.
Increased
Okay.
testing.
But again, all the users are paying that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's not really a capital cost, that's really a testing cost. So I did put that in the budget for this current fiscal year. I put an extra like 1,000 or 1,500 in there. But yeah, the capital cost of buying the equipment, that's a real cost.
so,
No, I was just saying that, so everybody's paying for this cost, not just the.
right, the $1,500, you
Right,
put
but
an
it's gonna
extra,
save them all.
Well, true.
it is gonna
Yeah,
save
well,
them all.
maybe.
But the 1,500 you put in there, to me, it seems like twice a year, we're gonna test the 9 or 10 grease trappers. Cause if it's $750, that's only gonna be testing twice. until we can start narrowing the focus down to,
Well,
you know,
right, and
there's
if,
6 of them that don't do a lot, and there's 3 that are pouring it right in.
Yeah, you're
Right, but if
catching
they're-
on.
yeah, and if they're supposedly doing what they're supposed to be doing and giving you reports, you'll be able to tell, right?
And that's where I was, you saw my comment last week in the emails, and I know the rest of the board probably didn't see those, about the grease trapping. And you and Sharon and Valerie were trying to come up with a system to build the 4 grease traps that Clark pumps now.
Oh, yeah, so I had a discussion with them. I asked them the specific location. I asked them if they could please identify that on all future billings, and that way that could be provided and just bill that cost directly to each of those 4 locations.
Yeah, but I chimed in at the end, said, I would like, okay, you had 4 that,
External.
external that were pumping, that everybody was paying, and now they're gonna pay, and that's great. But we got then 5 out of the 9 that don't show us any data. We don't pump anything. We know one of them's a good Boy Scout and shows us the billing. So the other 4 are kind of going, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut and not say a word. I think those 4, they know their grease trap, or we gotta have I believe
Well,
we have
that's
to
what
have a
this whole thing
policy.
is, though.
Hold on, we gotta have a policy that says that if you don't show us the data that you're pumping it, you're gonna get charged a minimum of so much a month. Because you are in the restaurant or / something business. We need to work on that.
Well, I
I
think
believe.
that's what this whole point
Yeah.
of this is we need to get a baseline of where they're at and the policy to go in to each of them and say, if you don't go,
Okay.
we're fining you.
So-
That was the
Well,
discussion
the
last
the
week.
last meeting, we said that we were gonna make them show us documentation, or we were gonna shut them off.
You can't shut off a sewer user because it would back sewer up into their building, and there's no shut off. You would ball it and a ball will generally pop out. So sewer is tricky. You'd have to shut their water off. So it's tricky, just is.
Yeah.
I think fines are probably more.
Yeah, to me, and, where was I going with that thought? I'm sorry, I just lost it.
You just wanted to make sure that we make them comply and they pay for it.
Correct.
and they're-
Yeah,
And this is the
Right.
beginning
Yeah.
of
So,
that
I guess when
with
you
the
were saying you're gonna
testing.
compile all this data, I think we need to come up with a formula. So, we got the ABC restaurant is pumping out 100% grease. And little Debbie's Delis over there, Severn Hot Dogs, is just pinning out 2%. We can't have the same, I'm not gonna paint this with a brush like the state of Vermont does, okay, you're getting fined so much. I think we need to have some kind of a 2%, you're gonna pay so much, you 100%ers are dumping it, you're gonna pay 100% more.
They're not gonna be allowed to.
So,
Yeah,
They're
that's
not gonna be
exactly it.
allowed to dump it. That's why we're testing.
Testing.
Yeah.
So
We're gonna force them
Jill-
to do a pre-treatment.
Jill, with this tester, does this get us the data that we need?
yes, that's what I was
Everything
gonna
that we
ask.
need, does this tester get us the data?
This collects the liquid in such a way that allows us to bring it to a lab to get the data. It's like, we don't have a certified lab, right? So we have to bring it to a certified lab so that those numbers are, done by a professional lab and that they, stand up as the industry standard for BOD, TSS, and FOG.
I know about a year ago, Picker said you couldn't just reach down in there and scoop out a gallon of clean glass of the sewage and say, oh, that looks like a lot of grease, okay.
Well, so what'll happen is if you do what's called a grab sample for BOD or TSS, you may
Yeah.
not get what's considered a composite. So at that very moment, it could just be somebody flushed the toilet and it's just water and a little
Right.
bit of pee, versus that they just rinsed out the pan they cooked their bacon in. So
Okay, so this machine or this tester you're getting will, for a better term, over a long period of time, get there over a 24-hour period?
that's
maybe?
what composite means. So composite means you can set it up so you say, okay, every 15 minutes, I want you to take an equal amount of liquid, such as 50 milliliters. So you can tell this machine
Okay,
every 15 minutes takes 50 mils and it pulls it in through the tube and into the collection container. This particular one, I think, has, I don't know, like a 2-gallon holding, which is plenty to fill those 3 bottles.
Yeah.
okay.
Part of it too is it has to be enough of a composite liquid to fill all 3 sample bottles.
Okay,
I make a motion to approve the purchase of the composite tester.
Second. There's a
From
motion
from capital funds,
from capital sewer funds,
sewer funds, yeah.
Correct.
right? There's a motion and a second. Any more questions? Hearing none. Thank you, Jill. Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Number 7,
Thank you, Jill.
Awesome.
Thank
Thanks,
You're
Jill.
welcome.
Thanks.
authorize the use of technology reserve fund with the purchase of a new desktop computer for the Lister's office.
Okay, can we just approve?
That was a
this for
laptop that they could
I
take in
know,
the
but we
field.
just approved for a laptop.
Right. I know. There's some weird karma going on in the.
So do we know how much this is gonna cost?
Well, I think, well, they're looking at a desktop, which is, I think, maybe around $2,000. Over 8,000 is available in the fund right now.
Do we have to get a desktop? Can we get another laptop, which might make it easier? I know that a lot of the staff are on laptop computers. Is there a reason why we'd get a desktop instead of a laptop?
I'm going by their request. I think they're accustomed to a desktop.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that's a reason
Yeah.
to get
I mean-
one. I mean, if we get another laptop that's at least portable, they can, one of them needs to go out, but.
Just, I mean, you can do everything on a desktop or a laptop, you can do on a desktop. You can, I mean, we set our old new branch coming up next week in Brandon on Friday. Laptop goes down, plug it in, and 2 screens, you're right there upon. So, that's something I
Yeah.
look at.
Right, if they
You wanna
already
take
have the
it, plop it
screen,
down, take it with you.
yeah, if they have the screen, even though the laptop's a little bit more, it gives better consistency, hopefully, through, the laptop that they have, and then they could just plug this one in, similar to how you do it, Val. Whatever happened to, I know that Anthony got upgraded with a computer. What happened to his old machine? Is that not available anymore?
That's still sitting in my office, and sometimes we need to pull information from it. It is so old and antiquated, though, that I need to turn it on the day before we're gonna use it in order for it to be ready by noon.
So it warms up.
So warm,
The-
yeah, I mean, I
the
thought
very
about
small
turning the
mouse
heat
can
on
start
just to
running.
keep it going, but, I mean, it's actually,
Okay.
I mean, you can ask Sharon directly.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah.
It's got the old guy in there moving the beans around to get them where the bean counter wants them.
Yeah, pretty much.
the abacus.
What's
I
your
mean,
pleasure?
I guess, I mean, if they're really dead set on getting a tower, okay, but I think they'd be much better off with a laptop.
With screens.
Right.
Yeah, with-
Do we remember what the laptop that we just approved, how much that was?
It's about $2,000.
I think it was around
About
2,000. I think that they've all been going around 2,100.
Okay,
I mean, do
If
they
it's-
have
if
a
it's-
screen? They have a screen already for this
Yeah.
one.
Right, the screen.
So they don't, unless they want 2
Yeah,
screens,
I
they don't
would-
even need
I would-
another screen.
I would recommend that they get whatever we approved and they're getting this time or getting previously, to just get another one of those.
Right.
Use that.
If they feel strongly about getting a desktop, well,
Just
Does
like
it
to know
matter?
why, I guess. I mean, obviously they need it. That machine is pretty old. I was there when I was in there, I think. In 90, when
It's
I
back in the
left.
60s.
No, 2005 I left, so.
If they feel,
I
I
used to
think,
put quarters in it.
right, if they feel strongly, they can get a desktop, but I think it
I mean, I
just
just-
makes more sense to get the laptop.
Right, I mean, they wanted the laptop to go out in the field, so why not just have another one?
Yeah, they could take 2. yeah.
And they're both exactly the same.
Right. So, is that a motion, Ian
Yes, it is.
and Michelle?
Yeah, well, second.
All right, there's a motion and second. Any more discussion?
I would just say,
Hearing
see if Val can do some persuasive arguments to steer them towards the laptop.
Then if the laptop has to go in for service, they can go out with the other one.
Yeah, exactly.
And the laptops we got down there, they can just put their screen, they got a keyboard too.
Yeah.
It goes through the key.
Yeah, I mean, and they have all that there. They have the screen, they have the keyboard. I don't know why you wouldn't just do the
It's
laptop.
a wireless mouse and a wireless keyboard. It's amazing. No wires on the desk. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, number 8.
Thank you.
Consider approval of a sub-grant agreement between the town of Bristol and the Addison County Community Trust for the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, awarded to the town for firehouse permit project.
So the next 3 are really related.
Yeah, they're all related.
Do we have a choice?
I have a lot of questions. Okay, Kevin, go over this?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Kevin is in Brown.
So, yes, Kevin Brown.
We have so many Kevins, I have to
So,
make sure.
my first question is if the grant was given to Addison County Community Trust, Firehouse Apartments, whatever, why do we need to be a sub-grant?
No, it's the other way around. The grant was given to the town,
Town.
and we are sub-granting it to them.
Okay.
And that's why we need to have a sub-grant agreement that spells out who's responsible for what, the conditions, the compliance, all that good stuff.
Okay. So, so my question is, okay, whatever's our liability, I see there's a hold harmless paragraph, which I'm okay with, but what's the town's responsibility? Do we get any consideration financially for?
They did budget, I think, $5,000 in their budget,
Which
to
I'm sure
reimburse
is
us
already
for.
gone. But, and then
So did we see
We
a check?
asked that question.
I knew we asked for that when they applied for the grant, that they put in administration funds to the town.
Yeah, it's confirmed.
So we will receive a check.
No,
well, we have to
we'd
submit. We'd have to submit
Reimbursement
invoices.
request.
Well, we sometimes forget to submit, don't we, Anthony? Unlike water bills and other things we do.
And then I was reading the mortgage, if I read the mortgage right, if the obligations are completed by 12/31/24, I think it says 28, then the mortgage becomes null and void. Did you read that in there? Did anybody read that? I'm probably the only one that really read this. But that's kind of what I read. It says if the obligations are completed by 12/31/2028,
So in other words, if they pay the loan back,
well, that's what I was confused
Yeah,
about.
it's-
That was,
yeah.
What did that mean?
Think we should hold off on this? Sure.
I
You
don't
do
know
this
that
every day
it's,
and read these things.
I don't know, I was just, let me just look at the mortgage here.
because this isn't really a loan, I don't think.
Well,
It's a grant.
It's a grant, but we've got a
But
mortgage
they have
deed.
obligations, they have commitments, there are issues that need to be complied with, and I think that's what this,
So this says condition. The condition of this deed is that if the subgrantee and a mortgagor or their successors or assigned shall achieve the national objective and shall have fully performed the obligations of the mortgagee under the VCDP subgrant agreement through December 31, 2028, then the mortgage and security interest granted hereby shall be null and void, otherwise to remain in full force and virtue by law. So if they complete the conditions,
low
then
income and all of that, all of those.
yeah, I
criteria.
have no idea
Yeah.
what those conditions are, but.
But I guess if they breach those conditions, then they could be required to pay the money back.
Right.
I think that's the idea.
And if they don't, are we required to?
We're supposedly held harmless, but we know how well that sometimes works.
Should we get Kevin in and ask
Now,
him?
Kevin's already looked at this stuff, so, I mean,
Or just
the
get,
other thing I saw is like, okay, the town is 7th in line of priority.
Right.
It's not like we're gonna get much if something happens, if they default.
what's your recommendation, Michelle? You, like I said, you deal with paralegal all the
In some ways,
time.
like Peter says, I don't think we have a choice.
No,
They were awarded the grant, and they cannot, they can't manage the grant, we have to manage the grant.
Mhm. But
It's just,
one of the other agenda items about the administrative services contract, that does lay out who's responsible for managing what parts of the grant.
yeah, which I glazed over trying to read
I know.
that, just so you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we weren't like, we really don't, I don't think we really have much choice.
And there are a lot of other funding sources in their project, that some of which I believe are loans. So that's why there are the priority list of if there's a default, who's
first, who's
yeah.
second, yeah,
right.
we're number 7.
And ours is not intended to be paid back. Ours is a grant.
I just hope this doesn't come and bite us. Where, like, the one down South Bristol did. up on the hill. Where that was, it cost $1.2 million to build in 93, and we could only assess it for $250,000.
Oh,
Well, that's exactly where
It's
this is
exactly
gonna
the
come in.
same, because it's all low income, federally
It's all,
funded.
it's all based on
Income.
who's there
Right, I mean, we knew that
going in.
going in.
Well, I remember
Because-
asking that question.
Right, no,
And they
the
said the
assessment
state
was there.
sets the rate.
The
It doesn't
rate,
matter.
We don't have a choice.
We don't have a choice in any of it.
Right. As long as they are in compliance with whatever conditions they have, you know, if they sell it to somebody else and it's not under that, then that's a whole different story. Then
Right.
they have all sorts of stuff that they get fined on, but
Yeah, we're only gonna get
whatever the state
Yeah.
assesses.
third to half of what we would get if it was in the private sector.
And you wonder why the apartment owners in this town get upset when these things come in.
Right.
Like Mike Burke did years ago, with Pleasant Hills. He walked off the BCA because of 93. Because he was paying what it was worth up there, and they walked in and like, didn't know anything. So what's your pleasure, people? Number 8. Looking at
Do
you,
we
Michelle.
wanna do one, do we wanna do one each individually?
Yeah, we're gonna do number
You
9
Do
next.
that, Val?
Either way, whatever works.
We just read, all I read was 8, that's all we're
Yeah,
discussing now. You get any comments, Ian?
No, it's doesn't look like we have much choice, but I don't see why it would backfire on us.
It only backfires if they default, and then we have to get the money from them, or they have to refund the money, and then,
Yeah,
If we're
I mean,
on-
do you think that,
if
do you
they-
feel that's likely that they're gonna default?
I don't think so. I mean, if they were gonna default, there's a lot of other people ahead of us that are gonna be really ticked off,
Right.
so.
And Kevin looked through all of these documents with the town's interests in mind.
Right,
As our attorney,
Right, correct, yeah,
and he's okay with it,
yes.
at least, okay.
okay, so I'll make a motion that we approve the subgrant agreement between the town of Bristol and the Adams County Community Trust. And do you want me to authorize you to sign that?
Sure, that'd be great.
With Val having authority to sign on the town's behalf.
Mhm.
And
Wait a minute.
I'm just gonna do one at a
Sorry.
time, because
Sorry.
it's just gonna be
Okay,
two.
there's a second for number 8 only.
Okay,
So,
Thank
any
you.
more discussion? Hearing none? Get through that. All those in favor, please say aye.
aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Okay. Number 9, consider approval of the contract for administrative services and program management between the town of Bristol and the Addison County Community Trust for administrative and management of the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, awarded to the town for Firehouse Apartments project.
I'll make a motion that we approve, enter into contract for the administrative services and program management between town of Bristol and ACCT for the administration management of the CDBG for the Firehouse Apartments, with Val having authority to sign on our behalf.
Okay,
Second.
there's a second. Just the question is, how much more administrative services from your part, Valerie, or any?
Well, there's a lot of reporting, actually, they do the reporting, but I
Yeah,
have
they're
to
supposed to
upload
submit
it.
the report,
Right, but I'm responsible for uploading certain things to
Right.
their website and,
But they are supposed to be given all of those reports.
Right.
They are supposed to be
yeah,
given.
they need to do the heavy lifting. Sometimes I have to push a button.
Do you see, Val, we had our concerns about this, and we're a little bit concerned now, even though this is going on and happening, and the Firehouse Apartments will be opening in September. Do you see this happening again with the town in this position?
Of being the applicant and,
Yeah, I mean, do we have locations where this could potentially happen again, and do we want to look at something different, or do we want to just, for our awareness, if this does happen next time?
Well, we did this with
We did it.
with Kevin, didn't he, on the,
Park.
business park? Didn't we apply for the block grant?
no, that was through
That was
the
the
board
board.
original commission.
Well,
Although-
we did the same thing down on Hunt Farm,
Hunt
and we
Farm,
did the same
yeah.
thing on
Pleasant.
Mountain
Okay.
Street.
Yeah.
Pleasant Hills.
But
Pleasant Hills.
Willowell has expressed the desire to apply for CDBG funding for their project of housing and daycare. And it would be the same thing, the town would be the applicant and the grantee and go through this exact same process again.
Well, if they're doing that, I think we need to put more money in for administrative.
I do, I do.
Because we have to have Kevin look at all this, and those attorney's fees.
Oh, yeah.
Are gonna be beyond
Yeah,
$5
Right.
grand.
well, they're gonna, yeah, we'll bill them for whatever the actual costs are.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
just curious.
So, there's a motion, Ian, did you second that, right?
I did.
Yeah, so any more comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
And I make a
Consider, number 10, consider approval of an authorization of the mortgage loan document related to the community development block grant for the firehouse apartments. I do have to read it, Michelle. I know you want to.
Make a motion to approve and authorize Val to execute the mortgage loan documents related to the community development blank grant for the firehouse apartments.
Second.
Here's a second. Any more questions on these? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay.
Thank you.
Review and approval of the June 26, 2023 meeting minutes.
Still in progress.
Still in progress.
Yeah.
Next week, next time.
Yeah.
And are we caught up now? Or we still got some?
We're still working on some of that,
Okay, on the back ones.
but we're staying ahead now.
Okay, Peter did authorize accounts payable and warrant any liquor license. I didn't see any liquor license. Did
No,
you,
there's
Peter?
no liquor
Warrant
license.
either.
Is there a warrant either?
I didn't see one.
Didn't
There is
see
a
it.
warrant, but where was it? Hang on.
Michelle, you
Ninety-five.
got
Oh,
it?
no, I didn't see the
577,
envelope, the thing out
Right
there.
here.
No,
Oh, no, that's payroll.
Huh.
There's checks now.
Do you want me to print the one off?
Thought she sent us one. I saw it from
Yeah, the
Sharon.
warrant, it's there, it's $95,577.53.
and 50%.
But it's not here.
It's not here to sign.
Yeah,
Oh.
the
Then we don't do
folder
it.
was not here. It must be on her desk or something.
Was that underneath?
Nope, that's my stuff.
That's your stuff.
Yeah.
Stay out of it.
I just saw a folder. That's all I have. Okay, we don't have them here to. Do we?
I mean,
You,
we can
It's
approve
up
it.
there.
we
have
can
the
approve it.
list.
What was it?
Oh, yeah.
Ian, again?
It was
95?
$95,577.53.
Okay, is that,
Yeah, that's.
You just got some. That's,
all right, we just gotta sign that then.
Yeah.
Select board roundtable. Why don't we start with Michelle?
I'll start with somebody else. I had something that went out.
Okay, Ian?
It went out my brain.
Ian?
I am good, thank you.
Speaker?
good.
I just got a couple, three things. I was down Sycamore Park the other day. Brush hogging and the mowing looks great. And just wondered, when we have ditching and stuff and things, there's still a couple of old foundations down there. I think that park looks great, but I think it could even improve even more with Meredith's ingenuity. Is those couple of old foundations are just growing out trees and stuff. I wonder if we could just fill them in and grass it over, you know, and level them out. And when Eric's got time, maybe in the fall.
I think we talked about that before, and I don't know why we haven't done it.
So, just that. And then, I talked with Jeff Parent today. He said to say hi, Peter and Timmy, and they'd like to get on our bid list for the water lines. They couldn't have done it this year, they said, but, and maybe they'd be on a bid list for Basin Street.
Is that Parent Construction?
Parent Construction out of Heinsberg.
They might be attending the pre-bid meeting tomorrow for
I would
Lincoln
assume
Street.
they will be.
Yeah,
Yeah, so,
Lincoln Road.
okay. So, and that's all I had.
You
Peter
said
brought
two things I found, that
Oh.
was in two.
Peter brought it up about when we, Ian, you're still on Zoom and stuff, is when we go in executive session, you know, with the way the government has been working and people are hacking all the time, I think we need a discussion on, when we go in executive session, should it be in the room? And, you know, we don't know who is, like tonight, we had wages up and people started popping in. And you said, shut that down, shut that down. You know, we've got people, we're talking about people in executive session and somebody could pop in and hear something. And I really want to have a general discussion as a board about the continuation. If we go in executive session, you gotta be in the room or the camera's shut in. If not, the camera's gotta be shut off. I'm just worried about us getting hacked sometime and somebody, you know, we don't know who's in the room. Somebody could walk in and, you know, I get on board meeting with Addison County Solid Waste and I shut my office and lock the door at home and go in and So just, I don't need to discuss it tonight, but I think we need to have food for thought about when we're in executive session. And if it means that, if we have the executive session first, Ian, you come in, I'm fine with that. Or we have it at the end and you come in, I'm fine with that. But just, we should have a general discussion how we feel about it as a board. Okay?
Okay.
So that's all I have, so,
I can't remember, so I'll
You
try to
can show?
remember, bring it up next time.
okay. Valerie, anything more besides your TA?
Yeah, I have nothing
Great
to
TA
add.
report?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it
Okay.
took a little longer to pull together than I expected, but oh well.
Ready? I see that was Sunday night at 9:59, or was that?
No, that was this
Saturday,
morning,
or-
actually.
Oh,
But did
So-
you all see the education tax rate?
no, I did not see that. I went from what,
20 cents?
One up 20?
1.8, this is just the town education tax. 1.8, homestead education is 1.848, non-homestead is 1.7147.
What was it, 172 last year?
I don't remember, but
Yeah.
it was a jump.
Yeah.
I was just like,
So
oh
was
my
that,
God, we're
so
almost
that
at
was your,
$2.
that wasn't what you remembered
No.
in select board concerns,
No.
your tax rate,
No.
education tax
It
rate went
just,
up?
it just surprised me that,
Whoops, we
well, I
lost.
wasn't expecting it.
Oh, somebody put, can you put that up now?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, there it is. There you go, people.
So no matter how hard
could-
we try to
you know
keep
your-
our budget down.
Yep,
And the CLA is 81%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which
This
is
is dangerous.
dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is, the state's gonna say, you need to,
just have a plan. If the
Mhm.
plan could be, we're gonna do it in 2030, or 2030. That's the plan.
yeah, but no, I'm just saying, they're gonna say, start
Yeah.
saying, you need
Right.
to.
Yeah. Correspondence, reports, anything?
No, nothing to add.
We have a brief executive session?
Correct. I see that Tyler just signed on, and Tyler, I can let you know that everything was approved.
Oh, my apologies. The agenda looked pretty full, so I thought I was going to try to time this correctly, but my apologies for being a bit late. I would like just to point out, I just want to thank the town again. Construction went rather smoothly. We're finishing up in a few weeks. We're going to have folks moving in for September. That's the goal. So it's been a great project, and thanks again for your support.
Now Tyler is,
Congratulations.
you're with Evernorth, Tyler?
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, so while Tyler's here, does anybody have any questions on any of those items that we were discussing earlier?
Michelle?
No, we kinda answered them, but are you
Yeah.
guys full? Are they all
Yep.
full?
Yeah, I know ACCT was able to lease all 20 units rather quickly. Unfortunately, we had to turn some folks away, but we have all units spoken for. And like I said, we're hoping to have everyone moving in September. So we should be wrapping up construction in the next few weeks and getting the building ready for tenants.
Congratulations, that's fantastic.
Good,
Thank you.
good.
Excellent, well, thank you, Tyler.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thanks.
Tom.
Tyler, just for the audience, just a refresher,
Yeah.
how many one bedrooms and how many two and how many threes?
There's one 3-bedroom. Give me 2 seconds. I was expecting. I can look it up for you. And it looks like I don't quite remember the name off the top of my head.
And while you're looking at that, Tyler, do you know, I know you can't tell us who, but how many people were from Bristol that are in there and how many people are from like out of town, 5-town, whatever? Do you know what the percentages are?
I'm not sure about that. I could double check with ACCT who handled the lease up. I haven't get back to you though.
We know of at least one Bristol resident who's moving in.
So the exact unit mix is 14 1-bedrooms, 5 2-bedrooms, and 1 3-bedroom.
Oh,
That's great.
okay, alrighty,
Right. Thank you, Tyler.
okay. Thank you, Tyler.
Have a great evening.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Night, Jimmy. I'd entertain a motion to go into executive.
Good
That's right, you don't have to leave yet, Jimmy, don't leave. We ain't got into executive session
We're
yet.
going back into executive session, right?
So I'd entertain a motion to go back
I make a
in.
motion that we enter an executive session to discuss personnel for 1 VSA section 313.
You got anything for us, Jimmy?
Second.
Nope, see you later.
Good night.
Night.
Thank you for coming.
You're very welcome. Thank you for your service to the town.
Wasn't that riveting, huh?
Well, any number of topics you discuss, they're familiar, you know.
Well, you didn't get to talk about dogs tonight. That's usually high on the list.
Yeah, well, in Ohio, there's a county dog warden, so that's not even really something the city has to take care of, so.
That'd be nice.
But, yeah.
And we usually have a zoning issue or two, and we didn't have that tonight.
The dog thing is my least favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thing to deal with.
Yeah, they never are good.
We get more dogs than never bit anybody. And we don't get a lot, but when we get one, they've never bit anybody. I don't know why they did that.
We had a situation in the county where the dog warden and humane officer went and took out 82 dogs from one.
Oh, believe it, we've
Here,
had.
merciful.
Some-
heavens, so,
Oh, 82.
Yeah.
Whew.
Glad we didn't have that one.
Alrighty, take care.
Best wishes, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
good luck.
Okay,